The process to select the next pope, it is secretive. The word conclave, it literally means with key. Now that Pope Francis's funeral is over, when will the conclave begin, and who are the frontrunners? I'm Ann Ahern. This is The Brief. The date for the conclave has been set. It will be Wednesday, May 7th. But that doesn't mean the pre-conclave hasn't already started. The cardinals, they're talking. They're talking in small groups. They're talking in large groups. They're called congregations when they meet in the big group. They're talking about the health of the church and where to go from here. 12 years ago when they met in a conclave, they were from 48 countries. But Pope Francis geographically expanded where the cardinals are from. Now they are from 70 countries and more remote places like Haiti, Rwanda, Laos. If that number sounds high, it is. Benedict had appointed 90 of the electors in the last conclave. There were 115 who voted. So you can see there are nearly 20 more who will be voting this time. That's because Pope Francis expanded the number of cardinals. One of those who will be participating for the first time is Chicago's Cardinal, Blaise Cupich.
I'm a novice, so I'm going to just keep my mouth shut and listen and see where things go. My mother always told us in life, when things get hectic, go with the flow, and I think that that's probably the good advice for me.
So where are they all from? Here's the breakdown. I'm going to check my notes. Europe has 39% of the cardinals, the biggest voting bloc. Next up, Asia, 17%. Africa and South America, 13%. North America, 12%. Specifically the United States, just 7% of the electors are from the United States. There are very strict rules about the process. Once they enter the Sistine Chapel, they turn in their phones, they turn in any kind of iPad. In fact, while they're in the chapel, there are jamming devices to make sure there's no eavesdropping. On the first day of the conclave, there's only one vote. After that, there are 4 votes each day until there is a 2/3 majority. The belief is the Holy Spirit will come to them through prayer and find a worthy successor. How long might it take? Well, if we look at the last conclave, for Pope Francis, it took about 24 hours. Not on the very first day, but on the second day, after 5 ballots, he was chosen. He was not on the favorite list. Only Pope Benedict of the last 6 conclaves came in as the favorite. Chicago priest Father Pat McGrath knows the saying that is often used before a conclave.
There's an old maxim about Rome, which is those who know aren't talking and those who are talking don't know, so I wouldn't know how to handicap that.
So who are the front runners this time? And trust me, these are the front runners today. The names often change as we get closer to the actual walking into the Sistine Chapel. But on the top of many lists is Cardinal Pietro Parolin. He is the Secretary of State. Parolin is diplomatic. He's considered more conservative than Francis. He led the outreach to Asia. He's called sensible and moderate. He also met with Vice President J.D. Vance just the day before Pope Francis did. They discussed immigration, and reporters afterwards were recorded saying that they had disagreements over immigration and the war in Ukraine. The leading candidate of the conservative wing of the Roman Catholic Church is Cardinal Peter Erdo. He's from Hungary. He's 72 years old. He opposes divorced or remarried Catholics receiving communion. He's also compared taking in refugees to human trafficking. The one who has the nickname as Francis II is from the Philippines. He's Cardinal Luis Tagle. Tagle is considered an inspiring speaker. He has been called from the Philippines to the Vatican and now has a high-ranking post there. He has criticized the church's attitude towards gays, as well as unmarried mothers and divorced or remarried Catholics. So he would be considered as someone Francis-like, more moderate. Cardinal Matteo Zuppi is considered one of Francis's favorites, and he's from Italy. He's 69 years old. He was sent on various global trips, peace missions to Ukraine, and came to the U.S. to meet with President Biden. Zuppi has written books and has encouraged dialogue with gay and lesbian members of the church. The one who has the best name, Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa. He had been in Jerusalem, recently called back to Rome as well, and is only 60 years old. A favorite from Africa is Cardinal Peter Turkson. He was mentioned at the last conclave, then he was considered too young. He would be considered a traditionalist. However, it's interesting, he literally played in a rock band at one point, and he is a guitarist. He studied in Ghana and in New York. He's unafraid to tackle tough topics and is considered an intellectual. Also from Africa, there's Cardinal Robert Sarah. He's under the age of 80, but he is retired. He is considered a traditionalist. One of his quotes, "Mass migration is a new form of slavery." You also have to remember the African church has a different set of priorities. The chances of an American pope, very small. As you can see, the electors only count up to 7% of the total vote. However, if there is to be an American pope, many are looking to Cardinal Robert Prevost. He was born in Chicago. He's an Augustinian. That's a religious order. He has spent much of his church life in Peru. However, Pope Francis called him to Rome. He's had a big job as the leader of naming new bishops. So, lots of bishops across the world know who he is. And you have to be a bishop before you become a cardinal. Therefore, if anyone might be an American pope, Prevost is someone people are looking at as smart, moderate, and one they like. So when they begin to meet, the big question is, will the next pope be Francis-like, cementing his reforms, or someone more traditional who will turn away from the Francis teachings? It is a very pivotal moment, not just for the 1.3 billion Catholics, but also to those who look for someone to be the moral voice in the midst of so much chaos. So how will we know when there is a pope? Did you see the movie The Conclave? Even the experts say they got a lot of the details right. If there is not a 2/3 majority, the smoke from the Sistine Chapel will be black. If there is a pope, they add a chemical to make it even more white, and you will see from the Sistine Chapel white smoke. That's the signal there is a new pope. Everyone runs to St. Peter's Square, and within a few moments of that white smoke, you will see the new pope on the balcony. Behind the scenes, they literally have white vestments in small, medium, and large. And first, there will be a cardinal who appears and will say, "Habemus Papam." That is Latin for, "We have a pope." And you will then see the new pope appear, and they will give his name that he has chosen. First, they will say his given name, then they will say the name that he has chosen to be the next pope. So what questions do you have about the choosing of the 267th pope? Add them to the comments. Thanks for checking in. That's the brief.